Hi, my name is Cormaine. Today I'll be talking to you guys through how I like to heal the second boss inside of Court of Stars, Talixae Flamewreath. If you've ever done this boss on Tyrannical or even Fortified, because anytime you know this boss can be an absolute menace, especially if she lasts a long time. The longer she lasts, the more burning intensity stack she gets, and the more damage you take. On a high key, this basically means that your groups like health bars are just going to be like yo-yoing constantly, and it's be really hard to keep up with the damage. So the main idea is to try and save like all of your big buttons and all of your big defensives for as long as you can towards the end when the damage, it doesn't get, I would not say it gets unhealable, but it is really hard to top everyone before the next tick towards the end of the boss. Before we get into it though, I do want to show you guys my talents because I know you guys are going to ask. So the video I'm going to show you guys is from a 27 Tyrannical that we did a couple weeks ago. So in this dungeon on 27, I chose to zone out before the second boss and change my talents to healing talents. There's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, we had time. Number two, we got really bad buffs. So we had Rose Brew spawned, which is a really good buff, but we couldn't pick it up. I think we also had like an engineering orb. And then we had like the food buff health, which is like 10% health, which is nice because it gives you a bit more wiggle room and more time to top people in between ticks. And then we also got damage orb, which is also nice because it helps the boss go 10% faster. But ideally, like as a healer, the things you're looking for that are going to help you the most are if you can pick up Rose Brew, if you have the haste buff, which helps your healing, or the crit buff, which helps your healing. Both those are really good, but none of the buffs we have are going to help me heal the boss. We had the time, so I got summoned to the dungeon, and then I use a teleport to go out, and then I changed my talents to this. Just a side note though, like we did 26s earlier this week and I didn't zone out. It wasn't until we got to the 27 that I was like, yeah, I need to do this so that it's safe, because like the whole key comes down to that boss on a high tyrannical key. So if you have the time to do it, it's definitely worth it if you're in a coordinated group, but it is totally not necessary. But I know you guys are gonna ask my talents, so these are the talents that I ran for the heavy healing build. I just went into full like renewing breath and then grace period. The idea here is keeping as many reversions out as possible, trying to keep 2 on everybody as possible, because that means they're taking 21% increased healing whenever someone has 2, because grace period does stack. I'm also taking 20-second Spirit Bloom, and then yeah, just increase renewing breath and then just going more defensive. If you want to see what my normal like Mythic Plus build is, it's basically like nothing and the dream breath and like doing more talents here for more damage, of course. So you're gonna see me doing lower damage than usual in this boss, but a lot more healing to make up for it. So yeah, now that I've explained that to you, let's get into the video. Before I start, I do want to say this video is as much like a guide slash how-to as it is like a me critiquing myself. This is like the first time we saw 27 Tyrannical Court. I'd seen like a few healers just like wipe here because I didn't have enough healing. So I was pretty nervous going into it, and I make a lot of mistakes. So as much as this is going to be me being like, yeah, this is what you want to do, you should do this, it's also going to be me saying like, yeah, I don't like that I did this. The next time I come here, I'm changing this, I'm doing this differently, because like watching this back, I realized I could play this so much better, but I still think it's fun to make YouTube videos like this and show you guys my thoughts. Okay, so going into it, this is not something I would change. Well, it's kind of, I would change the timing. The idea, you see that I already have my stasis pop. It's going to detonate in 22 seconds, and I have 3 full echoes on everyone. So one of the main things I'm trying to do with this build is make sure that I am putting out as many like real reversions as possible. This is a question I've gotten asked a couple times, so I'm going to clarify. The reversions that are replicated through TA are not as strong as the reversions that are replicated through real echoes. However, golden hour value is the same whether you get it from a real echo or a TA echo, and also it's easier to put out more double reversions, meaning people having 2 reversions like you see my rogue has right now, when you're using TA echoes versus doing real echoes. So like there's trade-off on both. Like your reversions are hitting harder, however they'd be taking more damage from more sources, and I also like more people would have more double reversions if you're doing it one way or the other. I chose to try and go this way, which is for the most part, not the whole time. You're gonna see me overriding strong reversions with weaker reversions with TA when I need to, especially for golden hour value. But as much as I can, especially towards the beginning of the fight, I'm going to be trying to keep out like strong reversions so that can carry my healing towards the beginning, because again, I'm trying to save as many of my heavy hitting CDs for the end as possible. Okay, now, as far as me doing a pre-stasis, the reason I do this is because I want a good stasis towards the end of the fight. So if I did like a stasis on pull, I would get a stasis towards the end, but it would be kind of like a hodgepodge whatever is up like in the last like 15-20 seconds. The idea of doing it like, ideally I wouldn't spend this last charge until we're about to pull the boss. Here I definitely did it too early. That is definitely a critique of myself, but it's fine. Like I definitely would have liked to do my last charge like right now instead of doing it 10 seconds ago, because when these detonate, it's not going to be as effective as it would have been 30 seconds into the fight when the damage actually starts ramping. These are going to detonate like when she only has like 1 sec. Anyways, so we pull the boss. We're going to Lust. I'm going to Fire Breath on pull. And I'm immediately just going to spend those Living Flame stacks instead of holding on them, because I don't have any essence to disintegrate, and there's no way that I'm going to just sit here and have to strike the boss. And you get some essence for his procs at least, instead of using it for healing. And then I just throw out a Dream Breath. I didn't even like buff it or anything. I just want to get the Hawk going. I want to get the CD on CD. And most importantly, I want to get it out before these reversions, these echoes go out, so that I could just turn them in, like refresh all the reversions on my group. So my stasis is going to detonate. We take a tick. I put reversion back on everyone, and everyone just gets healed back to full by golden hour. Put a temporal anomaly out. I'm staffing. The beginning of this fight, not too crazy, but it is easy to just like forget yourself, start DPS at the beginning of this fight, and like fall behind pretty quickly. I do a Spirit Bloom here for this next tick. That's my cat. Not really necessary. I think again, this is just me thinking like I want to get this like on CD and just want us to be safe. Do another Fire Breath here. Something I could do way better here, and like my damage would be way better, is if I just waited 5 seconds to do that. Like if I just waited till the ad spawned and then I stepped back and I pressed the Fire Breath. It's a little bit awkward though, because then I would have had to wait and like heal this tick and stuff, but something I could do way better to just be improving my damage throughout this entire fight is just doing that. So again, I just put out 3 real echoes, and then I just press reversion on them. So I spent that, and I'm going to press temporal anomaly. I think this is a bad temporal anomaly. I think I should have just Spirit Bloomed there. That would be another like critique of myself, because the thing is I don't really have anything to spend. Like I just put out 3 real echoes and put real reversions on everyone, and then I just put temporal anomaly. But I don't have like Verdant Embrace up. I don't want to override all of those like echoes with a fake echo, with not a fake, but like a less strong reversion, even though that's what I think I'm about to do, because I realized the mistake I made. So looking back at it, that is something I would do. The other mistake I made here, and I was completely frazzled this fight, is I pressed monopot, like Chilled Clarity pot, instead of my main stat pot, which is what I meant to press. Like I want to press main stat pot here, so it would like kind of like carry this phase, because like when you have the embellishment, it lasts a long time. But instead, I pressed monopot. And so I was a little bit frazzled. So yeah, I just overrode all of those reversions that I just did. Again, golden hour value, I'm getting more double echoes out than I have before. I'm sorry, double reversions out. I get those two mixed up in my mind all the time when I'm saying their names for some reason. But I do think that was a mistake. I think I should have Spirit Bloomed there, then TA'd, then Verdant Embraced. Yeah, now I'm just putting out more. I'm realizing like, okay, I just override all my stuff. I put out more echoes, I put out more reversions. And then I'm going to just use a rewind here. I definitely like screwed myself over right there with what I did. Like watching that back. My cat is by the camera, I'm sorry if it's shaking. Like watching it back, I screwed myself over there by TAing there and kind of like put myself in this hole of like, what do I press? And then made myself have to go back and try and override my reversions again with more echoes and spending way more globals than I needed to. So here I'm going to temporal anomaly, Fire Breath, because there's no damage coming out for right now. This one, at least I got some good damage out. Okay, good for me. And then I'm going to go to a Verdant Embrace, and then I'm going to press Dream Breath here. Another thing that I think is just as good is not using the TA echoes on a Verdant Embrace for the lifeline healing, but instead just using it to duplicate your Dream Breath. I did that towards the beginning, I do that a little bit towards the end, but looking back at it, I think in the future I definitely just want to do like Verdant Embraces where it's only me and one other person being like life binded, and then pressing TA and then pressing Dream Breath instead of doing TA, VE, and then Dream Breath here, because I think the ticking Dream Breath here is a lot more valuable since it's constant damage instead of going for the kind of like bursty healing that comes to the lifeline window, because the lifeline window here is kind of overkill, as you can see. Like everybody's already topped as I'm like pressing this Dream Breath. It'd be way more beneficial if more often if I was doing VE, Temporal Anomaly, and Dream Breath on this fight. That's just something I kind of realized in hindsight watching this back. I did still get to like do like a good like we did like the Verdant Embrace. I went back a little bit too far, but basically the whole point is that Verdant Embrace healed a tick, and then this Dream Breath, I pressed it and it healed another tick, which is fine. It still gets the job done, but like in the future I would like to just like replicate a double Dream Breath on everyone instead of doing that as often. Again, I'm just TAing, overriding everything, and pressing reversion on that, doing a Spirit Bloom there. And then I just activated my stasis. Or like finished activating my stasis there, which I even realized I pressed. So all I did there basically was just like a Spirit Bloom into a Verdant Embrace into a Echo. So this isn't like the most ideal stasis. Like obviously like the most ideal stasis is going to have like Dream Breath and Spirit Bloom inside of it. But the reality is if you have Dream Breath and Spirit Bloom off CD at the same time on this fight, you're probably dead by the time you get there, because if you haven't pressed either of those buttons in 30 seconds, I don't know how you got through the past 30 seconds of this fight, at least this far in the fight. So expecting to be able to get both like a Spirit Bloom and a Dream Breath in one stasis on a fight like this just isn't realistic, because you're kind of putting yourself in a hole, and you're putting yourself in a hole for the rest of the fight as well, because those things are going to start coming off CD at the same exact time. So just a bit of clarification there, because I get a lot of questions about what should I be putting in my stasis. In this case, you just put in whatever is up. So a Spirit Bloom and a VE, perfectly acceptable, and then you just need one other button. Ideally it would have been a Temporal Anomaly, but honestly that goes fine. Like people are just gonna get topped by this and it'll get the job done. For now I'm Fire Breathing, she's about to spawn some more ads. And then immediately use my Leaping Flame stacks to top everybody there. And this is where it's going to start getting hairy. So you can see, like looking back at this, the other thing I noticed is that I really hold on to my defensives here. I think I held on to them about 10 seconds too long, and I should have like pressed them right before that last tick, instead of what I do, which is like basically just saving my double charge of this and my Renewing Blaze for the end. I also kind of popped Renewing Blaze like towards the beginning and then gotten it back, but Renewing Blaze is a really strong CD on this fight, especially in a Lifebind window. I'm not even sure if I get a great use out of it. Again, I did not exactly love the way I played this fight. So now I press my buttons finally. I finally pressed both of my CDs, or defensive I should say. And probably, yeah, I activate my stasis here. I've used both Rewind Chargers, my stasis. I have one more Obsidian Scales, and the other thing that I do forget to do this fight is I do forget to press Zephyr, so make sure you press Zephyr and you're not like me. I am just super tunnel visioned right now. And basically the only big CD that I have left at this point is going to be Emerald Communion. I could also TD someone. We also usually have Spell Warding here, but we actually didn't end up using Spell Warding this fight, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember exactly what happened, but we didn't end up using it. And then we also now have the Nature's Vigil rolling, although he doesn't have CDs, so it's not going to be like very big. And this is where I'm going to Verdant Embrace into an Emerald Communion. I have one more skills charge left, which I'll probably press after this. This would be a great place for me to pop Zephyr, but I don't do it. I'm an idiot. One more Dream Breath here to help top us, and we are basically just going to limp over the finish line here. It is so spooky. Oh, okay, we do get spell warding at the end on the shaman. Like at the last tick, he gets the spell warding. That's really good, because that actually saved him because he was really low. But yeah, that's basically how I healed this fight this week. If you want to stop on my stream when I get another tyrannical one and see me play it better, you can come by then. But I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good day.